Lemon is loving every minute of this. He's never had so much attention because no one cares about him. Last night, likening himself to Jimmy Kimmel.
Look, I stand proud and I stand tall. This is not a victory lap for me because it's not over. They're going to try again and they're going to try again. And guess what? Here I am. Keep trying. That's not going to stop me from being a journalist. You're not going to diminish my voice. Go ahead, make me into the new Jimmy Kimmel if you want. Just do it. Because I'm not going anywhere and I'm going to believe the same things, whether you want to, whatever.
Yes, please do it. And the person who could do it is with me now. She is Harmeet Dhillon. She is the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights at the DOJ. Harmeet, great to see you again. So are we going to do it?
Well, we are going to do it because that's what is required for justice here. And from Sunday, when I first saw the video that Don Lemon himself put out about his conduct that day, it was clear to me that we had the predicates for pursuing FACE Act and conspiracy. We did our homework, sent prosecutors there to the ground, took affidavits, took evidence. They buttressed the case that we could witness from Lemon's own testimony and statements and admissions against interest in his own videos. And we have aggressively and very rapidly sought legal process. Now, I will say it's been a little frustrating because for 48 hours, between the time that we sought these arrest warrants and the time that we were able to make arrests and say what the judge did in refusing to sign off on Lemon's, it had to stay silent. We have certain protocols here at the Department of Justice, but he is not out of legal jeopardy, and he has lawyered up. He has a prominent lawyer, and we're going to pursue this to the ends of the earth.
Good. So it's not over. He's not out of the woods just because this one magistrate judge decided not to sign off on the warrant. This judge, this magistrate judge, we now know, is married to somebody who works for Keith Ellison, the Attorney General of the state of Minnesota. The judge's name is Douglas Micko, M-I-C-K-O, the magistrate judge who refused to sign the warrant. And we found out that his wife, Caitlin Micko, who works for Keith Ellison in the AG's office, recently reposted first a happy holidays photo of her with the judge. So that's why we know they're married. But separately on LinkedIn, Harmeet, this woman, okay, again, she's married to the judge who denied the warrant. She recently loved this message from the Solicitor General in AG Ellison's office. Quote, "I'm proud to help AG Ellison and the mayors protect the equal sovereignty of Minnesota and the safety of our residents by suing ICE, Homeland Security today." So she's liking the lawsuit against ICE. She's clearly anti-ICE. And this is the magistrate judge's wife.
Yes.
Should he have recused himself from this?
So let me add, there's a couple of additional elements, which is Keith Ellison ignorantly went out there and said that the FACE Act doesn't apply to attacks on houses of worship, which, as you know, Megyn, it obviously does. It's right there in the statute, and I've actually used it in court already. This is the second time the United States Department of Justice has gone into court to use the FACE Act with respect to houses of worship. So he's blatantly wrong, and that's her boss, and it's a conflict of interest, in my opinion. And, he absolutely has fallen short of the standards here. And there's more that I can say about the magistrate. I don't even want to say judge, because magistrate is a inferior officer, not an Article III judge. The back and forth with us is something else. But this magistrate clearly exhibited bias, I think, in his rulings, and they're very disappointing. And so there are more chapters to come in this dispute, for sure.
So normally you could bring it before a grand jury, right, to get an indictment. Can you go, Harmeet, to a different magistrate?
I don't want to telegraph exactly what we're going to do next in court, but there are next moves in court in multiple directions, up and sideways and otherwise. But you have to understand that this was a holiday weekend. And unfortunately, grand juries don't run every day of the week. I know there's a lot of ignorant commentary out there on social media about this. They simply don't know. The next sitting of the grand jury in Minnesota is in Minneapolis is next week. And so, that's an option. There are other options. So I will just leave it at that. But you know that the Attorney General herself was there on the ground and managing this process with my principal deputy, a brilliant young lawyer. And so, we are not giving up the fight here at all. And in fact, we only identified rapidly, I think, a handful of people who were in this mob. I intend to go after every single one of them. None of the people who invaded this house of God and harassed and frightened children and families is going to go unpunished.
Great. That's great news. So you're going after all of them. It's just you haven't identified every single person yet, but the ones you've identified, the process is happening.
Well, that's right. I mean, and the other thing is, look, people are doing their social media identifications. I'm looking at those and I'm forwarding them to the investigative team. And we have to do our due diligence. We don't want to be out there. I mean, I'm a longtime civil rights lawyer from the against the government side. And so I have tremendous respect for the rights of the individual. So we're doing our due diligence. That's required by justice. I'm sure people out there would agree that they would not want to be wrongfully arrested or otherwise misidentified. And so we're doing our homework. But a lot of these people self-identified on social media, including the 3 who were arrested. They were, posting their own commentary out there repeatedly, as was Don Lemon's associates and others. So eventually we will expect to get all of these people. And, then we're going to have more questions about how this was organized, who organized it, who funded it, and what else is being done by this group of people invading churches. And why we moved so quickly, Megyn, is as a person of faith, it just outrages me to see this happening. And I didn't want churchgoers to feel that if they went to church in Minneapolis, St. Paul this coming Sunday, or the synagogue or any house of worship, that they might face the same kind of mob harassment. It's just it's off limits in America. And so I hope this gives assurances. The 3 arrests they're not low-level people. One of them is an elected official school board member. One of them is a serial free-range, domestic terrorist, in my opinion, terrorizing people in multiple jurisdictions. And one is a paid organizer who is a lawyer who had access to statute books and should have known better about the FACE Act. And, we were trying to arrest them for 48 hours, had eyes on them. It wasn't easy. And everyone who is in the food chain of helping us get the information needed didn't necessarily cooperate quickly, but we got it done very quickly.
There was a report yesterday on the one arrest of Chantel Allen. She's the one who's on the school board, that she had allegedly rented out 3 separate hotel rooms and that the hotel manager helped to get her down to the lobby to be arrested. Is that true?
I'm not going to comment on the exact circumstances, but the privilege that some of these folks exhibit can get tiresome to the general public. And hotels don't want fugitives in their premises for obvious reasons. So I'll just leave it at that.
A new year means new financial goals, like making sure your savings are secure and diversified. Will this be the year you decide to talk to somebody from Birch Gold Group? You've been thinking about it. They use an educated approach with a deep understanding of macroeconomics. There are forces pushing the dollar lower right now and gold higher, which is why they believe every American should own physical gold. So until January 30th, if you are a first-time gold buyer, Birch Gold is offering a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. To claim eligibility and start the process, just text MK to the number 989898. Birch Gold can help you roll an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold, and you are still eligible for a rebate of up to $10,000. Consider making right now your first time to buy gold and take advantage of a rebate of up to $10,000 when you buy by January 30th. Text MK to the number 989898 and claim your eligibility today. Again, text MK to 989898 now. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.